So what do you guys do all day? What do you do?
Yeah, we do fights and we talk about each other because we know, that girl got something going on with her skin. She is dark. She said,
Nevada, get out my room. Demira, stop talking about her.
Nevada, just get out.
It really hurts when brother and sister call me names.
You're the darkest person, so get out. No. You can't even see.
She took a shower yesterday.
And she's still dark. That's why nobody ever knows where you are. And every time we at the store, you always get lost because you're so dark.
Oh! You is burnt. You look like a gorilla.
By the time my teenage years were over, I was in full-blown self-hatred mode, and still 100% completely unaware of it. Even though dark-skinned brothers had become more desirable to sisters in the 1990s, the mind control was deeply embedded in my psyche, and the damage was already done, and I still had no clue that I was self-hating. If someone would have brought up the notion of me hating myself, I would have thought that they were stupid for even saying some shit like that. In my mind, there was no self-hatred going on. I was proud to be black. A few shades lighter, of course, but proud nonetheless. My response would have been basic and coonish. My behavior is just a reflection of my personality. My likes, dislikes, and preferences don't have anything to do with me hating myself. This is just who I am. But yeah, looking back on myself and what I know now, I was definitely on some hate myself shit.
When I was just a little girl. When I was a baby. This happened when I was a baby. My mom says that she was getting on a bus with me, and either the bus driver or some random woman looked down at me and said, "Damn, that baby's black." And thus began my lifetime of dealing with colorism in no ambiguous terms. It was very clear that people were roasting me, flaming me, bullying me, physically, mentally, emotionally, all of it, because I was black and ugly. Not just black, dark. So I wanted to talk about it because I'm still Love Island pilled. I'm still down the rabbit hole, obsessed. And, you know, all the discourse about the colorism, I had to put my 2 cents in, but not from my typical, like, let's talk about in terms of terms and history and context. Just from like a person, like, this is what I went through being dark skinned. And this isn't a woe is me. I have been in therapy. I have friends. I have been desired by many of people, girl. Like, I know that desirability and beauty is also some weird trap. I'm literally in drag right now, okay? This is more just to let some of y'all know what we mean when we say colorism and the shit we had to deal with. Keep in mind, I was born in the early 90s, so my childhood was late 90s, early 2000s sort of vibe tease, and I grew up in Georgia. So yeah, okay. Let's get to the story. So to understand, you have to go to the beginning, because this is my mother, Cousin Jalo. That was a nickname. Her name's Yasin. She is who I got my big, beautiful eyes from, my hard work ethic, my can-do attitude, my charisma, my all of these things. But girl, love you down. But she bleached her skin for most of my life. But Khadija, why? I'm getting to it, okay? So my mom used to actually be my complexion, and she had acne, and so she started using a cream to clear her acne, and it ended up clearing her skin but also making it lighter. And she was like, "Ooh, I kind of like how this looks. This is different, okay." She's in Gambia, mind you. So she just kept using it, and whenever I show people pictures of my mom, like I'm showing you here, they're always surprised because they can tell we look the same, but our complexions are so different, especially in pictures when I'm younger, that people are like, what? I always knew my mom as light-skinned, and people would often tell me that I looked a lot like her, and oh, you kept your skin complexion, your mom used to be like this too. And it was always kind of weird for me because in one breath, when I would tell her about the bullying and stuff at school, she would try to encourage me, sometimes make jokes about making me a lotion, but like, I don't think she realized that like, it was really hard for me to stay black and ugly. Black and ugly. It was really hard because people at every turn were trying to tell me not to. And let's talk about those motherfucking people. So I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, not in Atlanta proper, like DeKalb County, Gwinnett County, those sort of areas. Frequently, I would befriend people in the neighborhood that I thought were my friends, and then the next day they'd be the ones making fun of me. And it was always about my skin color. People used to walk behind me in groups chanting, charcoal, charcoal. The people that were bullying me never called me by my name. They would call me asphalt, charcoal. Midnight was a personal fave. 2 a.m. black, turn off the lights, where's Khadijah? You know, people used to spit on me. I remember one time I got a perm. I was feeling really cute, really cute. Walked outside to these friends that I thought I had made in the neighborhood that day. Yeah, they were all sitting on this wall. They all took turns spitting on me and calling me dark and ugly. And then I just left quietly home and just, yeah. And this is why I can't have kids. Because if I find out someone did that to my kid, I am, you know what? TikTok community guidelines. Moving on. I remember there was a group of kids when we moved to a more mixy area. There were still a lot of black folks there. So I remember there was a group of kids when I was in middle school. It was their favorite thing to see me come into the cafeteria because they just would burst out laughing. It was their favorite thing. They were trying to see what awful thing I was wearing, how terrible I looked, how bad my hair looked, something. Like they were so elated. One of the girls, and this might have been around the time Mean Girls came out maybe, literally walked up to me. I was wearing these shoes that I had borrowed from my older sister, stole. Y'all remember the Cheetah Girls? When she's standing in front of the TV, whatever place, and her and the other girl are dancing, and she has those clear shoes with the M on it. Yeah, so I had that, and I borrowed my sister's shirt that looked pretty cute. And one of the girls walks up to me and is like, oh, I really like your shirt. And I, dumbass, thought she was being, not dumbass, naively innocent, thinking people can change and be kind even if they've been cruel for so long, was like, thank you. She went back to that table, and the way they all started laughing, I was like, fuck my drag. It was so bad. And that happened a lot. Especially anytime I thought that I was feeling kind of cute or doing something, it was like people had to remind me, no, bitch, you're black and ugly. You're dark skinned and ugly. Move it along, you know? So that sucked. And so it was around that time I started high school in the States, and I was kind of an emo kid because I was like, listen, if you guys are gonna make me feel like an outsider, make me feel like I don't belong, then let me just lean all the way in. So I was emo kid, skull and crossbone earrings. I was fine with people being scared of me because I was like, that's better than y'all making fun of me. They still did. By then I had heard everything you could hear. People had done anything they could have done physically, mentally, verbally to me. So I was just kind of like, you know what, give me the best you got kind of attitude. I went from being hyper visible and like made fun of and bullied to eventually just being invisible. And it's an interesting dynamic to switch back and forth with, because when I was hyper visible, people were always, it was always to make fun of me, to tell me that I was ugly and undesirable, and therefore why am I even here? Why do I even exist, right? And then when I was invisible, it was also like, well, I might as well not exist, you know? It was very trippy. And this happened in Georgia, and it also happened when I moved to Canada, because I was in Calgary, Alberta, and it was so many fucking white people. And I thought that I was not gonna miss the colorism, but I was like, girl, get me out of here.
Because it sucks being like marginalized by people that you think look like you, but then when it's people that don't look like you on top of that, it's like, damn, do I fit in anywhere? And don't get twisted, I had a core group of friends that I hung out with and stuff. There was much, like, there wasn't bullying at that time. It was more so just being invisible. And that's the age when you start noticing people liking people and liking each other, and other people are getting boyfriends or little girlfriends or whatever, and you're just looking around at yourself like, well, okay, just happy to be here, I guess.
That was a place where I was definitely felt very invisible, felt more so like, okay, well, if black people don't even think that I could be pretty or attractive or anything, don't even think that I have any sort of beauty, why would any of these other races, you know? So I decided at that age, consciously, to lean into my personality. I straight up told myself, okay, Khadijah, your looks are never gonna get you anywhere. That is not gonna be part of your ministry. You just have to accept it. So you need to develop a personality. I told myself this, you need to develop a personality. And I always already had one. I was pretty like, at least around my friends and people that I trusted and knew, I was pretty like how you see me now. I've been pretty much the same. But yeah, it was a conscious effort of, okay, you're probably not gonna date, and if you do, it won't be for a long time, and yeah, you probably just, people aren't gonna find you attractive, so you may as well be a good person and be a good friend, and that can be your thing. And then I went to Gambia when I was 16, and it flipped a whole bunch of stuff. A whole bunch of stuff.
When I say my own kids be colorist over my little brownie, it's so sad. If anybody else experienced this, because it's my first time, you know, I went to go see a man about a dog, and
that is what you call learned behavior. They didn't get that from themselves. They got that from their closest family members and how you guys feel about yourselves and your skin colors. Clearly, there's a lot of family members, even you or your children, who feel like because you're light skinned, you're better. Let's start by not calling the baby brownie.
More times than not, the colorism starts in the house. Because I'll never forget. And I still remember all my cousins, we don't address or talk about it now, but all my cousins, they used to call me too dark. I was a roach. I was so many names. I had classmates. One girl called me Aunt Jemima. Like, I thought we were friends, and she just started calling me Aunt Jemima out of nowhere. And the crazy thing is, like, truthfully, my truth, I've never experienced that with my lighter skinned cousins or my lighter skinned friends. My complexion, truthfully, was never a topic with my lighter skinned friends and cousins. It was always the ones that looked like me. Oh, you're darker than me. You way darker than me. Oh, you black like your daddy. Oh, you black like this. Oh, you black. Let's go back to those same people today. Oh, I'm just the prettiest thing. Oh my goodness, I'm so pretty. Oh, to this day. Now on this day. That's how I am. Oh, you're a pretty chocolate girl. Oh, you're pretty for a chocolate. Like, my father, truthfully, I hate it to this day, but it is what it is. I can't do anything about it. He literally calls me black baby. It was even this boy. I went to school with this boy, and every time he saw me, he would be like, oh, you know, I've never talked to a dark-skinned girl. I never talked to a dark-skinned girl. You know, I never talked to a dark. Why do I care? And it was like he was trying to make me feel bad, but like, boy, don't nobody want you. I don't. And like, he would always make it a thing to let me know, oh, you dark. I ain't never talked to a dark-skinned girl. Like, why are you telling me this? Why do you feel the need? That's all I have to say.
I know it's 2025 and y'all think this is a dead topic and we need to stop talking about it, but colorism is very much alive. It still continues with the children because that's where it starts, in the youth. Children know whether or not they're being chosen, picked on, called pretty, called ugly, whether they are just shown more attention than other kids, just off of how the adults treat them. And it's the adults that start this whenever you start treating certain kids a certain way because their skin complexion. You know, I know people that are like, oh, their grandmother treated some grandkids like this because she thought the lighter kids were prettier, so she treated them a certain way. You know, it starts in the family. Y'all act like y'all don't have colorist family members. Y'all act like old heads still not colorist out here. Y'all act like it just goes away. No, and they keep that going with the kids. The kids can pick up on how they're being treated. They know. And when they go out into the world, they go to school, how do you think they're going to treat other people? If they've been told they're prettier from their family for these many years, now they're in school, how do you think they're going to treat other people who may be darker than them? They're going to treat them like their family treats them.
The video I'm about to show to you will prove that colorism is installed in us at a very young age, and whoever tells you that they don't know what colorism is or their colorism don't exist is an asshole. So stay tuned.
Is the bad doll. Which doll is the nice doll? And which doll is the bad doll? And why is that doll pretty?
Because he's white and he has 2 eyes.
Which doll is the ugly doll? Why is that doll ugly?
Because he's black.
It's really starting to realize that dark-skinned women live in a different world than everybody else mentally. Like, you have to be exhausted with this narrative every single day. You're going to have the hardest time in the world getting opportunities. Then that is exactly what is going to happen, because perception is reality. I feel like the excessive videos on this colorism content is extreme.
Since colorism is a narrative now, please explain to me why black parents are the main ones checking the ears of their newborn babies to make sure they're not too dark. And since colorism is a narrative, why is it that so many dark-skinned people bleach their skins to be lighter-skinned? How is it that a dark-skinned woman can do the same thing as a lighter-skinned woman but get bashed and she get praised for it? And since colorism is a narrative, why is it that only the dark-skinned doll was the only one perceived as bad or ugly during the famous doll test?
Which doll is the bad doll?
And as a highly educated dark-skinned black woman, why is it that dark-skinned individuals are paid less in the workplace or do not get hired at all?
I realized when I was speaking to one of my lighter skinned, colleagues afterwards, and we're just talking about the interview process, I had to do 10 interviews in order to get this job. And this, when she told me her pay and my pay, there was a gap.
And we must keep in mind that colorism not only affects the black community, but all ethnic groups. The three of us are all darker than the guy that played Namor. But even then, the Hispanic community was in an uproar because he was too dark to play Namor. So just imagine what the dark-skinned Latinos go through. And I can go on and on with examples, because you know why? Colorism is so much more than a preference or a look or who's pretty or not. It affects all dark-skinned individuals of all ethnic groups in so many different ways. So y'all can honestly stop gaslighting her as well as other dark-skinned individuals that speak up about colorism, because at the end of the day, you contradicted yourself because you admitted that you too have experienced colorism throughout your life, solely based on your dark skin.
I was talking to my friend about colorism, and he was asking me, he said, why is it okay for kind of dark-skinned people to kind of bash light skins? And what's it called? But if a light-skinned person was to do it, it kind of be deemed as disrespectful. And I said, okay, I got you. Let me give you a rundown. Because light-skinned people are the beauty standard. Hold on, let me cook. When I say light skins are the beauty standard, light skins technically are the beauty standard because they are the closest thing to white. Let me cook. And we live in a white man's world. If you are not white and you are other than white, you are already at the bottom of the totem pole. We, being black, are at the bottom. We're at the bottom, regardless. That's just what it is. Hold on, I just turned the stove on. Let me finish cooking. Because light skins are closer to white, they are kind of more so the beauty standard. If you were dark skinned, you will remember being a kid and your mom or your parents or your grandparents would always complain about your hair being quote unquote nappy. Whole time it was just kinky and we just had 4C hair. You probably had your lighter skinned cousin, your lighter skinned sibling who had that quote unquote good hair, and they usually were being a lighter complexion. Growing up in high school, I saw the colorism that was experienced through black women. As a black man, I didn't experience colorism. I don't know what it is. I can be 100% on. I'm a dark-skinned black man. I have never experienced colorism. If it was jokes, but it was like tit for tat. It was like playful around. But the disrespect that dark-skinned women got growing up in high school, disgusting. It is so fucking bad. Let me really cook real quick. Let me really ruffle a couple feathers. It's only from dark-skinned men. Think about it. A lot of the jokes that were made about dark-skinned women, oh, you're black, you're this, that, and the third, came from some hating ass dark-skinned men. Men that hated their moms. That's it. I don't care what nobody said. A lot of dark-skinned men who are sitting there colorless as fuck hate their fucking mothers. I don't give a fuck. All right, I'm done cooking. Let me kind of let me plate everything. Bam. So why can light skins not talk about dark skins, but dark skins can? Bam. Because light skins are the fucking beauty standard and dark skins are oppressed. Think of light skins being white people and dark skins just being regular black people. If a dark skin or if a black person was to sit there and say, I can't stand the white people shit, oh, period. Yeah, me neither. But if a white person be like, I can't stand that black people shit, bitch, what the fuck you mean? Exactly. Hopefully I cooked. If you feel like I burnt the food, my bad. You might just not know how to cook.
Why is it so hard to become friends with black people? And I don't even mean this in a racist or colorist way. I'm just speaking from experience. I always wondered why I get along or end up becoming friends with lighter skinned people, like white people or Hispanic people. But the problem is never really them. The problem is us, bro. Because I feel like every time I try to become friends with a black person, that race always has to be involved, bro. When I'm talking to one of my white friends, they don't really bring up color because it's they see all black people as a total. But just us black people, we be calling each other nigger and shit and being oh, she's blacker, she's whiter, he's darker. You would be in the middle of a conversation and your friend gonna be like, let's put our arm together, let's see who's lighter and who's darker. Bro, and it'll be so random too. I'm friends with these two light-skinned boys, and we would just be randomly chilling, and then he would randomly be like, I don't know, there's something about black girls that there's something off with them. They're loud and they look weird. It's not even like a one-time occurrence. They're always bringing up how they hate black women. And I never deal with that with like my white friends or anything. Or like, I don't know. I just feel like light skins are like just other shades in the black community. I'm not trying to be okay. I said light skins. I have light skinned friends that aren't like that, but the light skins that be like, oh, trying to act like they're higher than all the other black people in the black community, they really make the other light skins that don't do that look bad. They make them look bad. And I be feeling bad for my friends that aren't like that, cause like, bro, you really got these other light skins over here making y'all look crazy, like making y'all look like y'all some superiority complex. And I never deal with that with white people, cause they see us all as Negroes. The fuck? They be so annoyed by the fact that I'm dark skinned. Like, that don't even make sense. Like, why does me being dark skinned bother you? I would just be chilling doing nothing, and they were like, shut up, you're black. Okay, bro. Because, like, it gets to a point where the jokes are, like, it's not even a joke anymore. You're just colorist and you're just racist. Like, I could take race jokes, bro. Like, I even do them myself. But it's to a point where it's, like, you could see, okay, it's becoming a pattern. Every time we talk with each other, it's, like, that's the only thing you laugh about. The only time you laugh is when race is brought up. So, you're not even, like, I don't know.
Hey, y'all. What's up? I wanted to talk about colorism. You know, I'm black, but, you know, I'm light-skinned. In my household, I suffered reverse light-skin privilege. So everybody in my house was dark. Darker than me, not dark, because nobody was dark, whatever. Brown is beautiful. Black is beautiful. But anyways, I suffered reverse colorism, you know, favoritism, because I was the light-skinned one. So it doesn't always, like, happen the way people say, like, light-skin privileges, because if you're in a house filled with people that are darker than you, you're not gonna be privileged. You're gonna suffer, you know, racism, prejudice. You're gonna suffer, you know, you're gonna suffer because you're the black sheep, literally. So that's what I wanted to talk about. How in households where there are different, like, toned people, like, you know, black genetics, you know, we could make light, brown, black. That happens in the households. You can suffer, like, for being light-skinned too. However, I did get light-skin privileges outside. Like, I remember growing up, people used to tell me, oh, you are not black. You don't think, you're not black, you're Spanish, whatever. And I used to always claim my blackness. I always knew I was black. So they'll say, oh, she thinks she's better or whatever. I don't know how to get this out. You know, I used to do drugs, so I'm trying to articulate this the best way I can. So, growing up as well, you know, I did get privileges for being light-skinned outside of my household. So I do understand the privileges. People used to tell me, you're black, and I used to agree with them. Then they would be like, you're not black. So they used to count me out when I was counting myself in. I am black, though. I've always been proud of my blackness. And that's it. I hope I articulated that correctly. Please don't roast me in the comments. Please. Have a great day, y'all. Be blessed.
So my experience, I experienced colorism at a very young age. And this is just me being very open and transparent with you all. Because, you know, over the years, people always joke with me, Ron, you like light-skinned women. Ron, you know that you like the lighter tone women. I'll be like, nah, bro, stop, be quiet, man. But when I sit with myself at nighttime, I would always be like, man, they're actually right. Now, your preference is your preference. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's always a reason why you like what you like. And my reason was because at an early age, I experienced for myself how people treated lighter toned people. I'll never forget when I lived in Panama, there was this boy named Jacob. He was a light-skinned kid. He had blue eyes and like curly hair. But he was black. Like I said, he was just light-skinned. And all the teachers, they loved Jacob. I always tell him how pretty his eyes are. And, oh, you're such a handsome boy. And me being young, seeing this, I used to be like, wow, he gets a lot of attention. Wow, this kid is special. That's because what I seen. Remember, I'm 8 years old seeing this, right? And I had these two girls in my class. One girl name was Emily and the other one was Natalie. They were twins. Light-skinned girls, blonde curly hair, blue eyes. They were in my class. I had a crush on them. Remember, I'm 8 years old. I had a crush on them. I was like, yo, these are they're really pretty. I was like, man, they're so pretty. And I noticed as I got older, elementary, middle school, high school, I like light-skinned women. It started at a young age. It started at a really young age. When I seen the favoritism that Jacob got, the light-skinned kid, I remember thinking, man, I wish I was light-skinned to get that attention. I'm 8 years old, bruh. I'm an innocent, pure child, and I was experiencing this because I was very observant at a young age, and I really used to think this in my head. I'll never forget, like, after school, I would get on the bus, and Jacob would always walk by me, and I'd be like, oh, there go that boy Jacob, there go that cool boy Jacob, and I'm like, man, I wish I was like Jacob to get all the attention. And man, I was young, bro. I ain't even realize what was going on with my mind. Like, I had no idea. Part 2 coming next.
All right, so another part of this is not really in relation to white people, but it began with them. It started with them because this whole white supremacy colorism thing, it's really in our families, right? I hate it how in my family and other families I see, the dark ones, right? The dark-skinned children, they get almost like pushed to the side, bruh. Like they get looked at like they're ugly. They're not really supported. And it's not all the time, but it's sometimes you see it. And I'm like, that's crazy. But let some little light-skinned baby be born in a family. Let's say, you know, a dark-skinned brother, you know, say he has a child with a light-skinned girl or a white woman, or vice versa. A black woman has a baby with a white person, and then the baby is real light-skinned. Everybody's like, oh my God, they're so pretty. He's so beautiful. He's so cute. She's so adorable, because they're light-skinned. But when they look at the dark-skinned babies or children, they don't get as much support. They don't get as much emotional support. They don't get rooted for. They're not celebrated as much. This is real sick, and that's another part of black fatigue that really does it to me. We do it to ourselves. It's not like another race treats us like this. It is embedded in the society, but it's sad when we do it to each other. I'm tired.
Colorism within the Latino community. Why does it exist? Obviously, I'm dark, and when I was little, I knew about it. I saw it all around me. Like, my cousins who were lighter always were like, oh my God, mira que bonito, que güerito. No one ever told me, mira que bonita está morenita, you know? Never. And I really didn't care about it as much until I became a mom. Because my kids are not light, okay? And I don't expect them to be. I'm dark. It's okay. But when people think it's okay to make comments about it in front of them, I've learned to be like, I'm going to speak up. And I'm going to tell you why. Because people should get called out for saying ignorant comments in front of you. I also don't want my kids to grow up thinking it's a bad thing to be dark. It's because it's not. Yesterday we had a full day and someone told my kids, quítate del sol, te vas a poner bien prieto. I typically will stay quiet, but yesterday I did it. Anyway, more of the story, let's do better, Latinos, because it's not okay.
Ooh. Yeah, this is an easy one for me. Have anyone heard of this? Yes, the brown paper bag test. I went through it as a kid. Yes, this bag was placed against my face and also my younger brother's face, and we were told that we're darker than the bag and we shouldn't be in the family. Mind you, on my mom's side, everyone is light-skinned, you know, I mean, light. Yeah, some of them can pass for white, natural blonde hair, but they're black. And I'm darker. My dad is dark, so I got a mixture of complexions for my mom and my dad. So did my younger brother. But I am not that much darker than this bad. But since I am darker than the bad, I was excluded from a lot of family events. I was treated accordingly. I got treated like I don't belong. It went on for so long until I was old enough to realize what was going on, and I just kind of distanced myself from the family. Because what was the point? What was the point? One time, my cousins asked me to come by my grandmother's house and hang out with them. I was close with my cousins. And my grandmother bought 3 dolls, and she had them on the dresser in the boxes sitting there. And she told the girls that they can play with theirs, but I had to look at mine. I couldn't touch it. I couldn't remove it off the dresser. I couldn't even really get near it. I had to sit on a chair and look at my doll. But my cousin, she was like, "Oh, just come play with me and play with mine." She was a sweetheart. I miss her. But so I did. And one time, our family had I think it was Thanksgiving or Christmas. I think it was Christmas. There was a Christmas dinner. And my mom said, go. I wasn't going to go. And I had kids at this time. I wasn't going. She was like, come on to go. And, so I went to support my mom. But as soon as I walked through the door with my children, my grandma looked at me and said, what are you doing here? It's a family dinner and everybody else is here. So my grandmother started running through the house trying to find gifts to give to my children. But then she come in there finally with $10 for each kid. I snatched it from the kids and gave it back. So they don't need your money. They don't need your money. They don't need you. I gathered my kids and I left. A few years ago, I decided to go to the family reunion with my brother. And so I go. We're at the picnic, and this lady staring at me, and she said, "Are you Lynn's daughter?" "Yes." "Oh, we thought you were dead." "Oh, yeah, I missed the funeral, huh?"
So me, my neighbor, and my sister just wrote this all over our driveway without telling my parents. And when my parents saw it, they texted us and saying we should have asked first and to fucking hose it down. Are we gonna hose it down? No. Maybe. Because I will probably get hit if I don't. And this is the reason there is racism in this world, because our parents can't understand a simple message that us kids wrote in chalk on the fucking driveway. Just because you were raised into a family that's prejudiced doesn't mean you have to remain that way.
A Mexican household, you wouldn't understand how things are. It's a Mexican household. Things are just different Mexican household. Speeches, baboso, soy mexicana. I'm aware that's how the family jokes. I'm aware that's how our families are. Like, I grew up being called negrita. Oh, what else? Flaca. What else are my parents called? Mom's favorite is desgraciada, but just because it's normal and you're used to it doesn't make it okay. Alcoholism is normal in our community. That doesn't make that okay either. Here's the thing. There are so many people coming into my comments being like, that's a great family. They're great parents. Nobody said they were bad parents. Nobody said that. I mean, some people said that it was rude and it was going to traumatize the child. Let's call a spade a spade. Y'all are not mad at me for calling out colorism. Y'all are mad because that family reflects your family and you're embarrassed at your actions. You're embarrassed that you've been called out. You're embarrassed because you might be racist. Yes, colorism stems from racism, and that family might be a little racist. You know what? People grow, people learn, people become better when they acknowledge their wrongs and they, educate themselves. My family was very similar to theirs, like when I was younger. You don't think it took me years of unlearning to unlearn all the colonizer bullshit?
I'm trying on wigs right now, but I just wanted to say this. Being a brown skin and dark skinned woman in a black household, in the black community, is so detrimental. And I don't think people understand how much we have to go through with colorism from your own family. It's like the jokes, the looking down into the side, like when you wear your real hair and stuff like that. And then like when your lighter skin cousin, she has perm straight hair, and it's like the texturism of it all. Like, we don't talk about it enough, but it's so detrimental to our growth and our self-esteem and our confidence, because we feel like we're not worthy of wearing our hair.
So if you are of darker complexion, if you have more melanin than most, like the ancient gods of all time. If you are a goddess in the flesh and you walk around seeking approval from people who don't recognize you in your own divinity because you don't know you're divine already, and that your melanin is actually a blessing and a higher frequency, yeah, I'm finna get spiritual and scientific on you. If you don't know who you are and walk tall, then who else is gonna treat you like that? I know who I am. I'm gonna walk tall, even though I don't have as much melanin as someone else. I'm still act like I do, because I got some and I'm gonna use it. Okay. When you know thyself, when you know who and what you are, all of that stuff disappears. The only thing you're gonna feel sensitive about is how sorry you feel for those men who are colorist because they don't know themselves. And then you will want to educate them as well. Okay? So that's why I can't have sympathy for someone who is very divine in nature and don't know who they are. Okay? You know what I'm saying? So if you understand who you are, you're not going to be seeking out colorism. You're not going to be looking at everything through the eyes of victimhood. You're going to be looking at everything through the eyes of